Okay. Can you see the slide, students? Can anyone reply?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Students, in the earlier two units, that is Unit 1 and Unit 2, we majorly understood the meaning of risk management and risk identification. So we even understood, the various types of risk, then burden of risk, then sources of risk. Then majorly, we came to know by this time that risk identification and risk measurement plays a very important role. And in Unit 2, we majorly understood about measuring the risk and the severity of the risk, wherein we understood about evaluating the frequency and the severity of the losses. And then we discussed about forecasting the financial analysis in risk management and decision making. Then we even discussed about other risk management tools. Now in Unit 3, so we majorly understand about the the insurance and insurance risk, as well as the definition of insurance, then basic characteristics of insurance, then requirements of an insurable risk. Then we'll majorly understand the difference between insurance versus gambling, as well as insurance versus hedging. So please understand, students, the regulatory body of Indian insurance sector is IRDA. All of you should be knowing this. So can anyone tell me the abbreviation of IRDA and when it was established? Yes. Anybody? IRDA. Abbreviate or tell the full form of IRDA. Anybody? You can even message in the chat box. Padmaja.
Sir, yes, sir. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority.
Okay, so very good. So we will try to understand about IRDA, that is Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, the role and responsibilities of IRDA, then essentials of insurance contract. So before taking to the introduction of insurance, can anyone tell me what is insurance? Yes, anybody? Even in your own language, you tell. What do you understand by the term called as insurance? Yes, Mr. Ranjit, good afternoon. Swapnil, good afternoon. Vani.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, what do you understand by the term called as insurance?
What do you understand by the term called as insurance? It is a long-term security, sir.
Long-term security. Okay. Swapnil Lugare. Swapnil. Swapnil slept.
So,
Yeah, Padmaja.
insurance is a thing which provides protection against possible uncertainties, sir.
Possible uncertainties. Okay. Any other definition? Samprita Shetty. Ranjit Por.
Yes, sir.
Samprita, what do you understand by the term called as insurance?
Sir.
Huh?
Hello?
Yeah, tell me. I'm audible. Tell me. You're audible to me.
Insurance is a term in law and economics.
Okay. So Yashaswini has messaged over there. Okay, ma, kindly mute your audio. Yashaswini has told insurance is a contract where the company guarantee for compensation against the loss of the damages. Very good. So other students like Ranjit Potiwal, he's not replying. Ranjit Potiwal, good afternoon. Swapnil Lugare, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay. Now we will try to understand, insurance See, the quick pace of industrialization of the modern age has landed men and his property most vulnerable to different types of risk and uncertainties of life. See, when we speak about uncertainty, the second wave of COVID is an uncertain event, right? Who knew that it will affect so many lives on this earth? So thus, while uncertainties of death, unemployment, sickness are constantly staring at the face of a man, his property is exposed to the risk arising from either natural calamity or any type of accident, floods. Correct? So with the growth of the industrialized society and consequently a rapid increase in the number of situations in which the human life and property get exposed to risk, an effective solution of reducing the burden, I'm repeating once again, students, an effective solution of reducing the burden of these losses have been devised by the shifting these risks to agencies or persons willing or qualified to share them. So insurance is one such solution. So how we can define it? Insurance is a means of protection from financial loss, or insurance is even a form of risk management primarily used to hedge against the risk of an uncertain loss. Well, insurance is actually, it is a device by which the loss likely to be exposed by an uncertain event is spread over a number of persons who are exposed to it and who propose to insure themselves against such an event. The essence of insurance is the elimination of risk, or you can say, students, minimization of risk. We cannot avoid it, but the loss what will be incurring, we can reduce the loss, right? So what I was telling, the essence of insurance is the elimination of risk and the substitution of certainty for uncertainty. So how we can understand the term insurance? Insurance is thus a cooperative way of spreading the risk. It should, however, be remembered that the plan of insurance only reduces the risk and does not completely eliminate it from the society. That is very important. We can just reduce or minimize the loss that is going to happen, but we cannot completely eliminate it from the society. So here, there are few terms we have to understand when we speak about risk and insurance. So before going to the characteristics, I'll explain you a few terms related to insurance. In modern times, students, the cooperation is brought about by means of a contract. We say insurance contract between each one of those who are subject to risk and the company organizations that are prepared to assume the risk. So a contract of insurance may be defined as a contract between two parties whereby a person undertakes, in consideration of a fixed sum, to pay to the other a fixed amount of money on the happening of a certain event. So certain event can be death or attaining a certain age in case of human life, correct? Or even to pay the amount of actual loss when it takes place through a risk insured in case of property. So what do we understand? The instrument containing the contract. I'm repeating once again, students. The instrument containing the contract of insurance is called policy. We say, right, insurance policy. And the person whose risk is insured, is called insured or assured. And the person or the company which insures is known as insurer, or sometimes it is called as assurer or underwriters. And the consideration in return for which the insurer agrees to make good the loss is known as premium. Correct? The thing or property which forms the basis of insurance is called the subject matter of insurance. And the interest of the assured in the subject matter is called the insurable interest. So students, what we understood here is insurance is based on one basic principle. And what is that? That the loss will not disappear from the world, but uncertainty about happening can be drastically reduced. So insurance may be described as a social device to reduce the risk of loss to life and property. So what happens here in insurance? A large number of people associate themselves by sharing the risk attached to individuals. Correct? The aim of all types of insurance is to make provision against the risk. So it is the mechanism of spreading the risk of one upon many. Correct? So insurance is a cooperative device to spread the loss. I am telling the word, to spread the loss caused by a particular risk over a number of persons who are exposed to it and who agree to insure themselves against that particular risk. So what do we say? It is a social device to reduce the cost of loss to the society by reducing the risk. Right? So how do we actually define insurance? Please see the slide over there. Insurance is a financial tool. I'm repeating, students. Insurance, don't get confused with insurance as well as investment. Insurance is not an investment. Which are the various investment avenues or investment financial instruments available? We have equity market, mutual funds, IPOs, commodities, right? Whereas insurance, it is a financial tool or a contract which is actually designed to minimize or completely eliminate the risk of loss to life as well as property. So it is a tool for risk management and is used as a hedge against the risk of incurring a potential loss. So insurance helps in spreading the losses and risk over a number of people, making it collective. So here what happens, the process allows people to take up a certain amount of small loss in lieu to be compensated for a bigger uncertain loss. So this concept works with the scheme of economic cooperation. And thus, how we can define insurance? Insurance can be defined as a tool which involves the payment of a sum of money in the form of premium. So premium can be paid yearly or it can be paid semi-annually, depending on your financial status or the condition or your flexibility or your payment liberty is concerned. Okay. So insurance is a tool which involves the payment of a sum of money in the form of premium by the insured in lieu of the insurer agreeing to bear the risk of a given contingency. Okay. So insurance actually involves a legal contract. The party which offers to bear the risk is called the insurer, while the party paying the premium is known as insured. The amount of money paid by the insured is known as what? Is known as premium. The other terms associated with the contract are assured as well as underwriter. So the document which spells out the terms and conditions of the contract is known as policy. So students, after understanding the meaning of insurance and the terms associated with the insurance, now we'll understand some of the basic characteristics of insurance, which is very important question. Okay. See, some of the basic characteristics of insurance are as follows. Risk sharing. I'll explain each one of them. Sharing of risk. And then we have cooperative device. Then value of risk. Payment at contingency. Amount of payment. Large number of insured person. Insurance is not gambling. And then insurance is not charity. So it's a personal contract which assures compensation. So we'll try to understand each one of them, that is characteristics of insurance. Please concentrate, students. So the first one is called risk sharing. See, what do you mean by sharing the risk? The main purpose of the insurance is to share the financial loss happened to a person. Such loss is caused by an unforeseen event, and it may involve the destruction of property or even death. So different types of insurance deal with different subject matter. For example, small example for you is marine insurance deals with the losses caused by the sea or in connection to the sea. Then the next characteristics could be cooperation, or it's a cooperative device. See, the process of insurance requires cooperation from the large number of people who agree to share the risk probability. And such act should be voluntary and may not be forced upon them. Then quantum of compensation is concerned. The actual loss incurred determines the amount of compensation payable. So, however, such amount cannot exceed the amount set at the time of taking out the policy. Overall, the amount of compensation, please understand students, the amount of compensation is the insured money or the amount of actual loss. So whichever is lower. So here the insured person is required to to prove the occurrence of the incident and the extent of loss. And insurance is not, it's not a charity. See, charity is practiced without giving consideration, whereas insurance is a business. And without premium, it is not possible to run the business. Correct? So it offers security and safety to the individual and even the society in return of premium, and thereby compensates what? The loss suffered. So it is a well laid out business or profession wherein the loss is adequately compensated in a timely manner. Then risk assessment is concerned, which is one of the most important characteristics. The evaluation of risk is an important part of the insurance process. It involves the calculation of the premium amount. So if the probability of the insured event happening is high, then the premium will also be higher. So there are various methods for determining the risk and the probability of loss at the time of insurance. And very, very important characteristics is payment should be made at the time of contingency. So what do you mean by this? See, the insurer promises to pay the compensate the insured person at the time of their loss through a stated contingent incident. Correct? See, the compensation is only payable only when the loss occurs due to the incident covered under the contract of insurance. So, however, students, in case of life insurance, the insured sum may be paid at the time of death or at the time of policy expiration, whichever is earlier. So, at the time of death, who will receive that particular amount? The nominee. The nominated person will be receiving the total lump sum amount. And larger the number, better the care. That is, large number of insured person. See, the number of insured persons shall be large enough to spread the loss immediately, smoothly, and even economically, right? So when the number of insured is smaller, it would translate into higher premium and hence it becomes unaffordable and unpopular. Correct, no? So when the crowd is very small, the amount or the premium amount will be higher. And hence it becomes unaffordable and unpopular. So that's why students, hence it is imperative to enroll large number of persons to make the premium not only cheaper, but also affordable and marketable. And sometimes, people think insurance is by choice and not by chance. So the productivity of a community is increased by means of insurance because it eliminates worry and even increases the initiative. So the uncertainty is changed to certainty because the insurer gives the assurance to compensate the loss monetarily in the event of loss. For example, students, in the absence of property insurance, the choice left to the property owner is limited and he could not get full protection to the whole property, correct? And similarly, in case of life insurance, in the absence of life coverage, the time taken to accumulate a considerable saving time, it takes a longer time. Whereas death may happen at any time. And in the event of loss of a breadwinner of the family, the other members have to fend for themselves. And students, we are seeing it now. If you on your television and see any news channel, see how many people are dying. So nothing is more uncertain than life, and life insurance cover provides the only surefire way to changing that uncertainty to certainty. So these are, some of the very, very important characteristics of the insurance. So next we will try to understand elements of insurable risk. So please see the slide over there. When we speak about elements of insurable risk, the loss must be definite and it must be measurable. That is one of the primary element of insurable risk. And the loss must be predictable. That means it must be of such a nature that its frequency and the average severity can be readily determined to establish the required premium. Correct? See, the premium calculation depends on the severity of the losses. So one thing what we understood was, if less number of people are there, then obviously the premium will be higher. And if more people are involved in the insurance, so obviously the premium will be lower. And the third element of insurable risk is what? The loss exposure must be large. So these are some of the three elements of insurable risk. Next part is very important to understand to all of you, that requirement of an insurance risk. So what are the requirements? The first point, let me explain you. Large number of homogeneous exposure units. Now what do you mean by homogeneous here? There must be sufficiently a large number of homogeneous exposure units to make the losses reasonably predictable. And please understand, students, insurance is based on the operation of the law of large numbers. So a large number of exposure units enhance the operation of an insurance plan by making estimates of future losses more accurate. Got it? And the second requirement of an insurance risk, that is, loss must be definite and measurable. So the loss produced by the risk, please understand, must be definite and it must be measurable too. So it must be a type of loss that is relatively difficult to counterfeit, and it must be capable of financial measurement. In other words, so we must be able to tell when a loss has taken place, and we must be able to set some value on the extent of it. Then the third requirement of an insurable risk is calculable loss. That means the volume of losses could be estimated. So there are two elements which could be estimated, if not formally calculated. These are probability of loss and the attendant cost. And then very, very, very important is affordable premium. So we had studied, right, risk retention, the concept of risk retention. That means if the loss that is going to happen is lesser than the premium what will we pay, then what we'll do, we'll try to retain the risk. Correct? So always remember the premium what we are paying should be affordable. So the premium payable should be affordable to be insured. So if the cost of protection is higher than the cost of loss, nobody wants to avail this kind of type of service. So these are some of the requirements of insurance risk. Okay. And then we'll understand insurance contract. So a contract has 6 major elements so that it will be valid. So which is, you know, offer, acceptance, consideration, intention to create legal relation, certainty and capacity. So an insurance contract, students, is a main document representing the agreement between an insurance company and the insured. So central to an insurance contract is the insuring agreement, which specifies the risk that are covered and the limit of the policy and the term of the policy. In general, an insurance contract must meet 4 conditions in order to be legally valid. So what are those conditions? It must be for a legal purpose, and then the parties must have a legal capacity to contract, and then there must be evidence of meeting of minds between the insurer and the insured, and there must be a payment or consideration. So because the law of contracts is used to interpret an insurance policy, the basic elements of contract, which are the acceptance, offer and consideration, must be present for a court to uphold an insurance agreement. So the insurer offers indemnification. Please understand the word called as indemnification or compensation for a past loss, as it's part of the bargain for exchange. So under an insurance contract, the insurer undertakes to provide, I'm repeating once again, under an insurance contract, the insurer undertakes to provide coverage for the risk specified in the contract and to provide settlement or benefits for arising upon the occurrence of a specific future event after the starting date of the risk coverage, and the insured person undertakes to pay an insurance. So we have 3 types of contract. That's called fixed price contract. That means with the fixed price contract, the buyer doesn't take on much risk. Then we have cost reimbursable contract. So with the cost reimbursable contract, you pay the vendor for the actual cost of the work. Then the last but not the least, we have time and material contract. See, time and material contract, see the vendor being reimbursed for materials purchased plus a per day or per hour rate for the time spent. And this sort of contract is great for projects where you don't know exactly what you want when you start out. So if the main elements are not in contract, it would be an invalid contract. That is very important. Okay. So before going to adverse selection, we will try to understand and do a quick review of the concepts what we have discussed till now. That is, we understood majorly the term called as insurance. That is, insurance can be defined as a financial tool or a contract which is designed to minimize or completely eliminate the risk of loss to life as well as property. Then after that, we understood about the basic characteristics of insurance, which includes risk sharing, risk assessment, cooperation. Then larger the number, better the care. Then insurance by choice or not by chance. And then last but not the least, insurance, it is not a charity. Okay. Then after that, we understood the requirements of an insurance risk. And now we will try to understand adverse selection and insurance. See, applicants successfully file for a company's evaluation system in order to obtain higher coverage at lower premiums. So adverse selection is a phenomenon wherein the insurer is confronted with the probability of loss due to risk not factored in at the time of sale. For example, students, Please understand this. If a bank set one price for all of its checking account customers, it runs the risk of being adversely affected by its low balance and high activity customers, right? So the individual price would generate a low profit for the bank. So insurance companies grant life insurance coverage to applicants on the basis of such factors, which includes age of an individual actually matters, then health condition, and even the occupation. And even policyholders are granted levels of coverage in return for a periodic cost called as premium. So in order to compensate the company for the increased exposure from higher risk policyholders, premiums rise commensurately with the risk associated with an applicant's age and the health condition and even the lifestyle. So please understand this, students, in adverse selection, life insurance applicants successfully file a company's evaluation system in order to obtain higher coverage at a lower premiums. So this is accomplished by withholding or providing false information, so that applicant is characterized as being a significantly lower risk than in reality. For example, if an applicant, in an attempt to pay a lower premium, I'm repeating, if an applicant, he wants, in an attempt to pay the lower premium, he manages to, vertibly report that he works in a single story office, when in truth, he's a large scale construction worker. So the insurance company would be making an adverse selection by approving his application, by giving the wrong information. The applicant gives the wrong information in order to minimize the premium, what he'll be paying. Correct. So what happens there? The insurance company would be making an adverse selection by approving his application. Now, this is one of the most important part from the, even from the examination point of view. So they might be asking you the major difference between insurance and gambling and insurance versus hedging. See, first we'll try to understand insurance versus gambling. So all of you know by this time, what is insurance when it comes to risk creation? The gambler in gambling creates the risk because he purely operates on chance. For example, your dice. So the chance of losing money is more in case of gambling, or the gambler, what he does in gambling, he creates the risk. Whereas the insurance is concerned, deals in the already existing risk, and insurance tries to minimize the risk. And they might ask you the difference between investment versus insurance versus gambling. So what is investment? The investors deal in the already existing risk in the investment. Whereas the gambler, what he does in gambling, he creates the risk. And the second basis of difference here between the insurance and the gambling would be risk transfer. So a gambler, there is no way of transferring the risk in gambling. Can you transfer the risk in gambling? No. It is your money, so you will be incurring the losses. Whereas the other one, the risk is transferred to insurance company in case of insurance, correct? If something wrong happens to you, then at least the nominee will be getting the amount so that they'll be secured, or the risk can be transferred to the insurance company in the insurance, in case of insurance. Then expected return, or what you will be getting. In case of gambling, there is all chance of a negative expected return. Will you agree? Because every time the luck might not be with you. So sometimes you might be getting less amount, but what happens? Every time you'll not be getting the positive expected return. Sometimes it so happens that you'll be getting the negative expected return also. So you should be in a position to bear the loss. Otherwise, what happens? You'll be totally in a huge loss in case of gambling. Whereas in case of insurance, there is a chance of positive expected return, right? Then risk measurement, that is the fourth basis of difference. Gambling is concerned. In gambling, the risk and uncertainty cannot be measured because of the high degree of uncertainty in case of gambling. Whereas here, the risk and the uncertainty can be measured. So these are the four bases of difference between insurance versus gambling. Then we'll try to understand between insurance and hedging. But all of you try to understand what is hedging. Hedging is an investment strategy wherein an individual can use to protect from the losses and increase the potential gains in the stock market or commodity market. Whereas insurance is a risk management strategy one can use to cover the risk of loss either from natural calamity or from theft or from any weather conditions and many other factors, in some cases including market movements, especially for farmers. Correct? And the second major difference could be hedging typically involves only risk transfer, not the risk reduction. I'm repeating once again, students, please understand here. Hedging typically involves what? It involves only risk transfer, not reduction of risk. Whereas insurance transactions, it reduces the risk. And even the risk can be transferred to the insurance companies. And hedging is what? It's a win and a lose transaction. Whereas insurance is what? It's a win-win transaction. In case of insurance, you'll be paying the premium. So a large number of people will be paying the premium. So hedging is a technique for handling risk that are typically uninsurable. This is very important. Certain type of risk which are uninsurable. So what do you mean by this? See, when in equity market, can you go for insurance? It's not possible because you invest in a stock market and suddenly if the market crashes, you cannot go over there. So instead of that, what you can do there, you can take a position exactly opposite to the position what you have taken in the cash market in the derivative market. That is called as hedging. Correct? So in the cash market, if you have taken a long position, in the derivative market, you can enter into a put option. So if the market comes down, so in the put option also the prices might fall because you have already taken the position in the put option. So making your net loss to be equal to net profit or loss to be equal to zero. Right? Whereas insurance is concerned, insurance transaction involves the transfer of insurable risk. So these are, the major difference between insurance and gambling and insurance and hedging, which is again a very, very important part to understand. And we will discuss this last topic for the day and I'll stop here. The types of insurance. Now students, if you see there, you can see only two types of insurance. That is called life insurance and non-life or general insurance. But see the slide over there. In life insurance, we have term insurance, whole life policy. We'll try to understand each one in detail now. Term insurance, whole life policy, then endowment insurance, money back policy, annuity, and unit linked insurance policy. That's called as ULIP. And in case of general insurance or non-life insurance, we have plenty again: fire insurance, marine insurance, motor insurance, accident insurance, credit insurance, public liability insurance. We have burglary insurance, national health insurance, employment liability insurance. Plenty are there. Okay, so we will try to understand each types of policy in detail. Okay. So first, in life insurance, I'll be taking the term policy. So what do you mean by term policy, students? So before going to term policy, we'll try to understand what exactly is life insurance, the meaning of life insurance. See, under this type of contract, the insured person pays a specific amount of money, which is called as premium payment. Okay. So in return, they receive a sum of money either at the time of death of the person whose life is assured or at the end of the term of life insurance, whichever is earlier. Now, in case of life insurance, which is majorly associated with the human life, the first type of policy, what we'll try to understand today, is called term policy. Now, as the name only suggests, term insurance is defined as a policy in life insurance, and it may be defined as a contract that furnishes life insurance protection for a limited number of years. And the face value of the policy being payable only if death occurs. I'm repeating. The face value of the policy being payable only if death occurs during the stipulated term, and nothing being paid in case of survival. So please try to understand here the meaning of term insurance. So term insurance is basically a type of life insurance policy that provides coverage for a certain period of time or a specified term of years. And students, please understand, if the insured dies during the time period specified in the policy and the policy is active, I'm repeating, the policy is active or in force, a death benefit will be paid. Right? So term insurance is initially much less expensive when compared to permanent life insurance. Unlike most types of permanent insurance, term insurance or term policy has no cash value. In other words, only value is guaranteed death benefit from the policy. And students, there are various types of term insurance policies available. Many policies offer level premiums for the duration of 10, 20 or 30 years, and these are often referred to as level term policies. And the premium is a specific cost which is typically that insurance companies charge policy holders to provide the benefits that come with the insurance policy. So normally what happens here, students, the insurance company calculates the premium based on the individual's health, age, and life expectancy. And very important is a medical exam that reviews the person's health and family medical history might be required depending on the policy chosen. So the premiums are fixed and paid for the length of the term. And if the policy holder dies prior to the expiration of the policy, the insurance company will pay out the face value of the policy. If the term expires and the individual dies afterward, there would be no coverage or payout. So, however, students, policy holders can extend or renew the insurance, but not, the premium, which will be based on the person's age and health at the time of renewal. So, as a result, the premium could be higher for the renewed policy versus the original term policy that was initiated when the individual was younger. So what are the key takeaways from term policy? So term policy or the term insurance is a type of life insurance that provides coverage for a certain period of time or a specified term of years. So if the insured dies during the time period specified in the term policy and the policy is active, a death benefit will be paid. And many term policies offer level premiums for the duration of the policy, and other term policies offer decreasing or increasing benefits over time, as well as the option to convert from term to permanent insurance. Next we have whole life policy.
Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Hello, sir. If I purchase term policy for 30 years,
Okay.
if I died in
Who is
second
this?
year, Swapnil, sir.
Yeah, Swapnil, tell me.
if I died in second year, if who will pay the remaining premium amount, sir?
See, there are a lot of different types of term policy. Obviously, the premium will be taken care by the company, because the contract, while signing the contract, you have to read the terms and conditions before signing. For the remaining years, the company will take care of the policy, and after that, whatever the sum assured is there, that will go to the nominee.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And I'll be explaining this part during the premium calculations.
Okay, sir.
That's a very good condition. What he asked. In the second year, if the death happens, who will take care of? The term insurance is concerned. The term insurance, Swapnil, it is the purest and the oldest form of insurance that provides payment of the sum assured to the nominee only on the death of the policy holder. But the condition is that the payment will be made if the policy is valid or within the tenure. So I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, sir.
So I understand, right? One of the oldest form of insurance that provides payment of the sum assured to the nominee only on the death of the policy holder. But the condition is that the payment will be made if the policy is valid within the tenure. So a term insurance provides financial protection to the family in case of any unfortunate eventuality. So as a beneficiary, whomever you have made the nominee, your wife or your parents or children, can receive a lump sum death benefit in case of demise of the injured during the policy tenure. See, even the insurance claim will not be admissible by the insurance company if the death takes place due to certain diseases, which is already mentioned in the contract, which includes HIV or AIDS. And if the death takes place due to the consumption of alcohol or any form of drugs, the insurance company has the right to reject the claim. Right. So we have to read the policy conditions before signing the document. That's very, very important. See, policy conditions are what? The section of an insurance policy that identifies general requirements of an insured and the insurer on matters such as loss reporting and settlement, property valuation, other insurance. Now, can I ask one question? Can you have two term insurance policies? Like, can an individual can have two term insurance policies? Is it possible?
Yes, sir. It's possible, sir.
Very good. You can buy two or more term insurance plans to fulfill all your insurance needs. So it is
Hello, sir.
possible to have more than one beneficiary for the insurance plan. So if you have two insurance plans, there is no stipulation of nominating the same beneficiary for both the insurance plan. So if you someone is asking, yeah, who is this?
Swapnil, sir.
Swapnil has got a lot of queries. Yeah, come on.
Sir, X purchased a term policy for 10 years, sir.
Okay.
And the X nominee is Y.
X nominee is Y. Okay.
X died after 3 years, and Y nominee also died after 4 years.
Okay.
And then who will they will provide that amount to their family or no, sir?
Fantastic. Okay. Now, Swapnil has asked a question. X as a policy holder nominates Y. That means if certain untoward incident happens to X, the complete sum assured will go to Y. But what happens is X will die, the amount will be transferred to Y. So Y will be nominating one more, right? Otherwise, what happens? It will go to court, and court will ask the family tree, like who are the legal heirs of Y. Suppose you have a bank term deposit or an insurance in the name of father, that is X. X will nominate Y. Y happens to be wife. X will die in the 3rd year, so the complete amount will go to Y. But before, what she'll do, obviously in the document she has to nominate someone. So if she has not nominated anybody, then it will go to court. So the court will ask the legal heirs of Y. If no son or daughter is not there, then who is the next person? The court will ask whether wife's parents are there, or wife's brother or sister who is there, or they'll equally divide among all the four, whoever is existing. Swapnil?
Yes, sir. Understood.
Okay. And it so happens, Swapnil, that both X and Y are going in a vehicle and both of them die at the same time. Even chances are there.
Sir, in COVID, many chances are there.
Many chances are there. If you watch TV, you will go mad. Many chances are there. So better is what? You should have one term policy. So at least the sum assured will go to the nominee. Yesterday I was watching the media. So father and mother, they have one daughter. And due to COVID, both of them died, father and mother. Now daughter is very small. In Bangalore, the incident has happened. And who will take care of this kid now? That is a question. Now, why I'm telling you is life is filled with a lot of uncertain events. Okay, so thank you so much for your good questions. So in the next class, I'll be continuing with whole life policy. Okay, I hope I have answered to your questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, bye-bye. Take care.